Okay, in this video, what we have is we've got a customer that brought in his full suspension bike and he was complaining about excessive play and noise. And what it was one of the bearings in the link ended up disintegrating, and which was causing the excessive play, and that added stress to the link was causing it to make a lot of noise. Now, manufacturers will end up making something without putting a lot of thought into servicing. And that is evident in this link because since the bearing came apart inside the link, it left a bit of the bearing inside of the link. And some manufacturers will actually leave cutouts in the back of the link where you can actually get to the outer bearing race. And in this link, they did not do that, and I was having to resort to not only my professional tools, but I was having to resort to some shade tree mechanic work because I was down to using a socket that the bearing would fit inside of and some chisels, and I really don't like using that because it ends up always leaving a mark, and I try to be as professional as I can, but this link was not something that you could easily replace the bearings in if they were to break. So hopefully you'll get some ideas from this that might help you, and if it does help you, please leave me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on this tough link. So what you're going to need to accomplish this feat is a 2x4. You need a hammer. You need a variety of punches. And you need, of course, the link. You need your eye protection. We've got the link, we've got the hammer, and we've got the variety of punches. I like to use a nice new punch with a nice edge to it, and we're going to be putting this punch right at the very edge of this bearing. And we want the piece of wood because we want to have something that's pretty soft. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put it on the edge here, and then we're not going to be gentle about it. We're going to try to get this done quickly and hopefully easily. So I want to put constant pressure on the side of the bearing here, and then we're going to start hitting it. Whenever I find a good spot where the tool starts to fit. And this is kind of tough. And the tool may slip several times, but you just keep working at it. Keep trying to find the edge of the bearing. And I might have to go a little more extreme with this. because I'm not getting a good grip. Sorry for your headphone users. This one is tough. We might have to get a Dremel, trim some of that aluminum on the back side, just so I can get a better grip on that race. All right, we're going to have to escalate this a little bit. All right, I'm going to change over to this chisel, and I'm going to get in there and start trying to knock it out. And I'm hoping that with the chisel, it might get a better grip. Well, it's not slipping. Ah, there we go. It's starting to move. And here we go. All right, so we got that out with minimal damage. So now we just need to get these bearings out. To remove this bearing in this link, we're going to be finding something to kind of fit in there. We're going to install this. Put the socket on the other side to give it the bearing room to slide on through. And just thread it on in. And just push. Okay, it bottomed out there, so we're going to undo this. And then I installed a spacer right there to kind of push the bearing through. Alright, so we're going to line the socket up where the bearing can slide on through. Spacer's right there, and then we're just going to push it on through. And so now we have an intact bearing. That's inside the socket. There it is. I doubt this spacer is going to fit in here. No, it just comes up a little bit short where it won't fit, so I have to put this one in here first. We have to push the bearing out a little bit and then use the spacer. Alright, so we're going to line up this piece here to fit in the hole. We're going to line up the socket here for the bearing to start to slip in. We're going to go ahead and start tightening. And the bearing's moving. It's now bottomed out. Now we have to unscrew it again and then put that spacer in there. Reinstall. I'm sure there's a better tool for this, but I've got some very nice tools, but I don't have one that's specific to this. Okay, and then we're going to tighten, and it pushes the bearing the rest of the way through. So the next thing you need to do is figure out which bearings you need. And let me see, these bearings are the 6802. And what we have here is we've got some enduro bearings from Real World Cycling. So let's see. Got some 6802s there. And okay, those are 7902s. What are those? 6901s. Okay. Well, let's work on the link here. And the beauty of having one of these bearing tools is I can just look at the side here, and we want to match this up to the bearing. So this is 6802. So if I look on these bearings, I can find a 6802, and it's having this kit is going to be a breeze because it's so much easier to install the bearings than it is to remove them. So you want to clean this link really good. And if I didn't have these inserts, you can use some washers that are the same diameter as the bearing. You don't want to have it any bigger. It's better to have it a hair bit smaller, but if you're pressing in the bearing, you want to press the bearing from the outside of the race here, on the edges here, not from the inside. And the nice thing about this little piece here is it fits perfectly to the bearing, just a hair bit smaller, so that it fits in there perfect with no play. So let's see, installing this bearing, we're going to try the harder one first, which is going to be, we need support on the inside of this. My tool won't fit the inside, so I'm going to look at my kit and I'm going to kind of play with, well, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. Problem is, this kind of gets in the way here, so we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to put some grease on the inside of this. So put grease on the inside of the link there. Smear it around. Get your new bearing. Make sure you're installing the proper one, 6802. Put some grease onto the outside of the bearing. And this should be fine. I'm going to press it all the way through, as long as it's not too tight. If it's putting too much pressure on the link, we're going to want to stop. Okay, nope, this is pressing in quite easily. So I feel it stop. I'm going to back it off. Get the next bearing, make sure it's the proper one. Yes. Put some grease on the outside of the bearing. Slide the bearing onto the link. Use the proper adapter there. Line the bearing up, press it in until you feel it stop. Don't force it anymore. Take the tool off. So we're going to wipe the excess grease off. And bearings look good. They feel good. Now we can get this link back installed onto the bike. Hopefully this video helped you out. Well, that was a tough bearing to get out. The other bearings came out beautifully because they were still intact, and I have the proper tools to get those out. I even have a bearing puller that takes out broken bearings as well, but this bearing was so small that bearing puller would not work. And it just this video kind of shows that sometimes you just have to beat the living daylights out of that race to get it out. Just use a punch at an angle. It's something that I've done many, many times over the years. Now, if you enjoyed the video, if it helped you out at all, please leave me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to tell your friends. Check out some of the other videos on the corner of the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Happy Father's Day, Dad.